Hey guys, it's Ben with Ben Terry Farm. And I realized in the last video that it was our first video on YouTube. I eventually uploaded a video onto Rumble as well, and I'm still trying to get around to uploading it on BitChute as well. And before I start the video, I really wanted to recommend that people start using those other platforms. I don't know as much about Rumble in terms of censorship. I'm sure there's at least something that they censor on there. BitChute has been very good, and they've actually been attacked. They actually have had their funds, their bank account with HSBC. They've had the account frozen now for over a year. And you kind of know like a lot about a company by who their enemies are. And as you might have noticed of the trucker convoy in Canada, when you're going after like the right people, the people that are causing us all kinds of problems, then the banks are always on their side. And so I would say BitChute's probably a better platform, although it's a lot lesser known. And so what I would say is, if you haven't ever checked out BitChute, I would get on there. There's another platform called Odysee, and I'm sure there's other ones as well that are truly, I would say, don't censor anything at all. But yeah, I still haven't even gotten a video uploaded, so I'm kind of a hypocrite in that regard. But the reason why I'm saying that is because eventually anyone who's saying anything remotely close to the truth, and I don't even like to use that word, but something, an alternate explanation than what we're being told, is eventually going to be censored, especially on YouTube, which is owned by Google, or rather Alphabet, which is what they're listed on the stock exchange anyway. And so yeah, go ahead and make an account, start watching videos on there, support people who are on there. Many people I followed over the years that were on YouTube have been removed from YouTube. A lot of times talking about the injections, talking about things that they don't want people to know about the banking system, and there's many different topics, reasons why you can get banned on there. But and I guess I should also, before I get into this video, kind of give an intro on who we are and what we do, because I kind of just posted that video about cleaning peas last week without really mentioning much about what our farm is and what we do. And I've been farming, we've been running the farm, although we just came up with an actual name for our farm, Ben Terry Farm, in the last year or so. I guess maybe it's almost going on 2 years now. But I've been farming since 2014. And when I first started off with the farm, and letting you guys know, like I do have a topic to get to, but like since now I'm not hampered by the time limits on Instagram. Back when they let me post my videos, I had 15 minutes, but now I have as long as I want, I guess. So, and I would like to put up I would like to get into Apple Podcasts too, because really a lot of the stuff I'm doing, you really don't need to see me. Although maybe some of you want to. I'm just kidding. But I really, most of the stuff I'm going to be talking about just requires audio. And so it's a lot smaller file size. I mean, it takes me forever to upload from my phone a video to YouTube. But anyway, back to the intro. We've been farming here for 8 years. And when I first started, the farm was being leased. It's a family farm. And my dad had bought the farm in 1991, so quite a while ago. And when he farmed it, yeah, he was basically doing conventional methods. Honestly, I was really young, so I didn't really pay too close attention, but I do know that, overall he was basically a conventional farmer. And so that went on until 2008, and my dad passed away in 2008. And So then the farm wasn't being farmed by anyone for a short period of time, and then we started leasing the land. Fortunately, my cousin was living here. He was renting the house, and he was farming some of the land, not very much. And that was very actually fortunate, because my cousin was one of those rare organic farmers, and so the parts of the farm that he was farming, at least since 2008, have been consecutively farmed organically since 2008. So some of the fields we have here have not been, sprayed with Roundup or synthetic fertilizers or any of like the toxic things that conventional farming likes to use. Since 2008, while some of the fields from 2008 until 2013 were leased to a neighbor, and he farmed completely conventionally. So the fields, that's just how they're being farmed. But in 2013 is whenever I was given the opportunity to start farming out here. So since 2013, all of the fields on the farm have been farmed organically. And so that's a really good thing to know. If you're thinking about being a customer of ours or buying products from us, that, we have a 10-year history minimum of farming organic here. So the soil has benefited from that for a long time, and therefore a lot of the toxins and things like that have been either removed or broken down in the soil. And so, that's a really good thing to know that our soil is on the mend, and it's been on the mend for a long time. So yeah, and I basically made the decision to do organic because I kind of had somewhat of an awakening. I would liken it to the awakening a lot of people are having right now after this whole I don't even know the word. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. Since 2020, early 2020. I don't want to get censored on YouTube, but a lot of people have had an awakening. It's been a really good thing. A lot of people were wondering why I'm saying it's a good thing, because it's really been terrible in many ways, but what it has done is shed a light on so many things, and now people are aware of so many things that they were not aware of. And I kind of had that awakening back in 2011. Was really when I started questioning things a lot, the nature of our reality. And I had known for several years before I started farming, my wife and I we very slowly, we took baby steps. And that's kind of how, one of the reasons why I'm making this video here is to talk about the baby steps for maybe some of you out there that have never considered eating organic food. And when I say organic food, I mean real organic food from a farm where the farmer, and you go to that farm to purchase all your food. And I'm going to talk about the importance of that in this video. And so the first thing we did was we went to the grocery store, and instead of just buying whatever was least expensive or whatever was most appealing to us based on the packaging or the fancy labeling, we decided to start buying organic. And I think it was a really good first step. Of course, over the years I found that cannot even be trusted, but at least our mind was in the right place. And I can say that we did start to see some improvements, even though we weren't going directly to a farmer where we could actually verify that the food was 100% raised the way we would like it to be raised. I'm not saying that the whole USDA organic program is a fraud, but a lot of it is, especially when it comes to those that are selling at the grocery store. And honestly, we did see improvements in our health. Now, it was also due to a lot of other things. We changed our lifestyle. I was in the U.S. Air Force until 2013. So getting out of the Air Force was a huge quality of life boost, going from the Air Force to farming. And that's just in my lived experience, what I felt from leaving the armed forces and becoming a farmer. And so then we slowly, once I got into farming, we started to meet people who were farming around us. I mean, that's just like kind of a natural thing to happen. You start getting into the business, and you start meeting your neighbors that farm, and you start meeting people who are farming like you or more like-minded. And then, so there's in order for us to become certified organic, which takes 3 years, that's what I decided the first year I started farming, was that I wanted to, because that's what we were buying at the stores, we were, kind of trusting the USDA symbol. That's what we were going to do. I looked into the organic program. There's a 3-year period, and it's still this way, that if you want to transition farmland from conventional, or anything, it doesn't even have to be truly conventional, but anything that's used prohibited substances at all, it must be 3 years. Now, you could sign a waiver if you were, say you basically were following the guidelines, but you weren't being inspected. You could just go ahead and sign that waiver and basically say, yes, it's been farmed this way for over 3 years. We haven't done any of this stuff, and they come out to inspect your farm, and if everything's okay, you get to go forward with it. But yeah, we knew that some of the fields were that way, so we followed the rules. And sorry guys for continuing to clear my throat like that. I did it several times on the last video, and that was because I was cleaning grain, and it just gets really dusty, and I breathe in that stuff. It's kind of the same like of unloading hay. You just can't really avoid it, to be honest. So if you hear me doing that, it's not because I'm sick. I just I work in a dusty environment. So, but yeah, we waited the 3 years, and so then I was really excited. It was 2017, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. I'm gonna be able to put that symbol on our stuff, and everyone can know that we are truly organic. And I really, at this point in time, we still were going to the grocery store. We still were, that was basically where we bought all of our organic stuff. And then fortunately, I don't know what it was. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I do a lot of research. I don't really talk about my formal education because I don't, basically my formal education was not very worthwhile to me, although a lot of people would think that means something, and that I would point to that as I could say I'm an expert on this subject. But I actually have a degree in food science from Penn State. And so, yeah, I have a bachelor's of science. It doesn't mean anything because the best education is your own self-education. And that's when you learn the best. And that's whenever you are not being directed by someone else. You are free to discover what's really happening and understand that at these universities and stuff, they all have agendas and they're all being funded. And so usually by huge industry, and that's where the education comes from. But so back to the organic. So basically what really got us into this more going direct to the farmer, which is what this whole video is really about, is that we were looking into raw milk. We had still been buying organic milk at the store, pasteurized milk. And obviously as a food scientist, I knew a lot about pasteurization. That was one of the things that we studied quite a bit. The Penn State Creamery is very well known. And Pennsylvania is still one of the leading milk producing states in the country. I'm not sure what they rank right now, but they're still pretty high up there. I want to say in the top 5 or so. So, that was a big thing at Penn State. So I knew all about pasteurization, homogenization. I studied it in depth. That being said, when I studied it at school, it was touted, all the amazing benefits of this and, for storage. And, they talked a lot about pathogens, quote unquote pathogens, whenever they talked about the reasons for doing these things. But, I learned all about it. Oh, it sounded great. But then I started really looking into it. And one of the films I watched was called Food Inc., which I haven't seen since then. I think I watched it that year or something. And actually a local gentleman here in Newville was raided for basically for having unregistered raw milk products. And, it was really out of control. If you want to know about it, you should just watch Food Inc. But anyway, we started looking into where can we get raw milk, because I learned that homogenization breaks down the fat molecules in milk so tiny that they actually pass through the intestinal walls, and that's what causes people a lot of problems, is because the molecules are so small. And the reason why they do that is to keep the fat from rising to the top during transportation and storage in the stores, and it keeps the fat distributed throughout the I guess it's basically like a colloidal solution, which is milk. And actually milk at the stores, guys, it's a product. It's not milk. All that stuff is separated and reconstituted into milk. But I'm not going to get into that too much. But anyways, we were trying to figure out where to get raw milk. And so my cousin actually was sort of doing it on the table a little bit, and he had like a little bit of milk. And so we started going to him, and then we found another place. And whenever we went to this place, that was probably the key moment for our farm and the direction I knew where I wanted to take our farm, is because I went to this Mennonite establishment, and they had a little shop, and they sold raw milk, and they sold all kinds of other stuff. And I just saw the beauty of their farm and just how they were growing everything. Like they had all the different animals, and they had vegetables and blueberries and strawberries and raspberries, all the different plants you could think of, apple trees. And I was like, this is what a farm should look like. And if we just had these farms spread out all across the country, for one, it would distribute the wealth instead of centralizing it in the grocery stores and then the food corporations. The grocery stores aren't making nearly as much money as the food corporations are. And believe me, guys, these food corporations, you might think there's Kroger and Wise and Giant and Walmart and whatever. It's really not that way. They're basically, the shareholders at the top come back to like just only a handful of companies. It's really just two. And it's really just BlackRock. Man, I can't remember the other. I want to say one of them was like the Citadel and Vanguard. Yes. So they basically own everything, and there is no competition in this country. Pepsi is not in competition with Coke. Budweiser is not in competition with Coors. Actually, they might be both made by the same company. I don't even know. They might have the same, or Miller Lite or whatever. Bud Light, Miller Lite, whatever. There's no competition. The only competition is between the small farms like us and basically the powers that be in the corporate food world. And so we went to this place and we got raw milk. And of course, honestly, we're just like any other Americans. Like we have been so browbeaten with propaganda about raw milk that even though we had done our own research and, clearly these people have been selling raw milk for a couple decades without any known complaints, we still were somewhat hesitant. And that just shows the level of brainwashing that occurs through just public education, the television, commercials, the government constantly, trying to scare people. We're still a little hesitant, but we made the switch and, we felt a lot better. That was just one step, but and then, of course, we started supporting them in many other ways. Buying all the different products they made, cheese and their vegetables and all that stuff. And that's when we really started seeing a major change. And honestly, my wife and I both were heavier. I'm 36 and she's 33 now, but we both weigh less than what we did whenever we were 10 years ago. So I think that says a lot about it. Obviously, it's not just the food, it's the lifestyle and everything else that we do. But yeah, so that was kind of where I got the direction to go where we go. And so now after 19 minutes of talking, I can say what we actually do, which is we raise a number of different animals. We raise, we have a herd of beef cattle that are, they are 100% grass fed. We don't inject them with anything. We don't use any, toxic dewormers or, chemical anti-parasite things, anything like that. And a unique thing about our beef operation is that we only sell here what we raise here. I mean, the animal had to be born here. And that's very unique. There's a lot of people in grass-fed and very few are actually going from calf till slaughter because it takes a lot more room, a lot more feed to keep the breeding herd here as well, which they're all together as one big family. But what it does is it allows me to know that when someone comes to me and wants beef, that I know 100% from birth till slaughter what was done to that animal, how it was raised, what went into its body, the most important things about it. And so that's very important to us about all of our products that we sell. And we also have ducks and chickens, and we have pasture chicken. Those are the broilers that we raise. We sell whole chickens, and we still have a good many left from last year. So if you're interested, please let us know. We currently have a little bit of beef that will be available in the fall, quarters and halves. And if you want to know more information about that, I'll, get a hold of me, message me, and I can give you additional information about pricing and stuff like that. And we'd like to get into raising duck for meat as well, although we haven't really found the demand yet. The people who would be interested in eating pastured duck, but I would love to do it. I really like ducks. I love their behavior compared to chickens. They're a lot less aggressive towards each other. They forage a lot better. And honestly, if I could choose between eating a chicken, like a roasted chicken or a roasted duck, I would choose a duck. And then we also have chicken and duck eggs. Right now in the winter, our flock isn't that big, so they're really not laying any more than what we can consume. We consume quite a bit of eggs in our family. But this spring is when we could really use the support. We always end up with extra eggs in the spring, just like everyone else. And so, yeah, if you're interested in that, message me. I have a price list posted on Instagram and Facebook that has all the prices and stuff on it. And then we also raise einkorn, which this field I'm walking in right now had einkorn in it, it's an ancient grain. It's extremely high in protein. We had our einkorn tested recently. We had it sent to a lab, and it was 17.2% protein, which is almost unheard of. If you get online and look at the imported stuff like Jovial, you get on their nutrition facts, they're at 15% or something. So very high protein, very nutritious for you. And the way we raise our einkorn is also very unique, because I'll give an anecdotal story here. We had a customer come yesterday who actually, him and his family drove over an hour to our farm and just to buy 50 pounds, I say just, it was 50 pounds of einkorn flour. And he was just, he was so happy because it was a really, really good deal. It's a really good price. It's very, very competitive, especially considering what you see online. He actually told me that somebody he knew was buying einkorn as well. And he asked him, where he was getting it from, whatever. And he was just basically trying to tell him about us, that it was a good deal. And the guy said, well, I pay, and it was $30 more for 10 pounds less, free shipping from the West. I don't know what state. I think the website, I don't know, but I think the website he was getting on was einkorn.com. I can't remember what state they're in. But anyways, it's somewhere from out west. And so anyways, it wasn't as good a deal. But the biggest thing is einkorn is a grain, and especially in regenerative farming, a lot of people say that you can't even grow grains in regenerative farming, which I disagree with. And I'm going to turn the camera around here in a little bit once I talk about the rest of the products we offer, what we do here on the farm. We also grow an open pollinated corn. I have lots of videos on that if you haven't seen them. I doubt I'm ever going to get time to upload them all to YouTube, BitChute, or Rumble, but they are on my Instagram page. So if you go there, you can watch all about the corn. It's a beautiful corn. It's open pollinated. It's high protein. It's actually about 10% protein. We had it tested, and we're very happy with that. I mean, it could be even better. There's open pollinated varieties out there that have even higher protein than that, like 12%, which would be amazing. Just for reference, conventional corn is about 7 to 8%. It could be closer to 9 on a really good year, but still, it's a big difference. And then, that's pretty much it right now. Of course, all the things we do are on our price sheet, but I want to talk about how we do them as well, which is very important to us. And so I'm going to turn the camera around here just for a little bit and show you guys this field I'm in. And this field I made a video about. Here we go. This field I made a video about back in the summer. It's on Instagram. In the future, I won't be posting any videos on there, but if you want to watch it, it's still there. Right now, you can see I just spread manure. And this is also an important piece of the puzzle on how we grow our einkorn. But this field, just a couple months ago, back in October, it was just way up here. Like 5, 6, probably actually a lot of it was 7 feet high. This is interesting to me here. This might have been a seed. Looks like a turnip it is dead even though it's green. Maybe it's because I ran over it. But, and so what we would have liked to have done is had the cows come out here and graze this stuff. Because this right here, these stems, was Sudan grass, sorghum Sudan grass, all different other, we had cow peas in here, millet, and then we had these, what they call tillage radishes, which I had some pictures of them when they were still, before they turned to mush. You can see some of them here. Here's one. And these things are huge. If I were to like kind of dig that up and go down in there, the reason why they're great is because they go down in about, they can go really deep. Some of them are like 10 inches down. And when they die like this, they turn to mush. See, they're mush now. They'll leave a hole, and that allows air and water infiltration into your soil. And then we have, of course, all this biomass. I came out here and I spread manure from the cows. And so the interesting thing about this manure is that there's einkorn straw in there. You see, like, after it's been broken down for a while, it starts basically turning into soil. That's what it does. It starts looking like soil. So basically making soil, a lot of biomass to break down into our field. And so it's a cycle. We put the straw back in here. The only thing we're really taking away is what was ever in that seed that we're making into flour, or that we're selling as whole grain so that people can make their own flour. And we get to cycle all of the biomass from the straw back into this field. Now, out west, they're doing so many acres. I'm not saying they don't ever use manure. I don't know these specific farms, but in general, they're not going to be doing this type of stuff. A lot of the farming out west, including organic farming, is basically just relying on the soil fertility that was developed over a long, long period of time by the buffalo. And so they basically will plow. They might have 2 crops a year. In our case, we're going to have 3 crops in this field in a year, as well as the manure and the straw being put right back in the field that it was taken out of. So we cycle all the nutrients. And my plan is from now on not to be doing this with the manure spreader, but to get fencing up. And once I get fencing up, then when we grow this cover crop after the einkorn's harvested, you will have the cows come out here and they will actually knock all this stuff down and break it down, stomp it down into the ground, and they'll put the manure here. And actually, I probably won't even harvest the straw. I'll just let the straw out here and they can stomp that down too. And that will feed our next crop, which then that crop will then feed our next crop, because we're going to put peas in here this spring. And that'll actually feed the einkorn the following year with plenty of nitrogen. So I'm going to turn the camera around. And I guess I'll kind of wrap this video up, but I hope that kind of gives you a perspective as to what our farm is and where we came from and how this has been a journey for us. And I guess before I go, I kind of wanted to just talk about why it's so important to support the small farms. I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. But one of the biggest reasons is that you're building strength for the people that are around you. Because if you're going to the farm, more than likely you're not going to be going too far. Now, I'm not saying if the guy who's doing exactly what you think is right and is doing everything, and you can't find someone around you, that you shouldn't travel to support that person, because it's just kind of like the basic law of economics, where if the neighbors, the people surrounding him, start seeing, hey, this guy's doing really good, and people are traveling from a long ways away, and business starts leaving that area and going somewhere else, and the people that are closer to you are going to start to catch on. And even if they don't believe in it, which I'm not saying people should do this, but they'll come around. They will have a fundamental understanding, a fundamental change in their mind to make the decision to try to farm differently. But basically, the marketplace for food will chase your dollars. And so if you make the conscious effort and the conscious decision to support a small farm who's doing things, and it doesn't have to be, that small. Polyface down in Virginia with Joel Salatin, they're actually a pretty big operation. And they've expanded out. They're leasing a lot of ground. So if it has to be that way, now I would still say that's not really centralization because they're still very, very small in the grand scheme of things. But if you start voting with your dollar and taking your dollar to the farmers instead of the grocery stores, honestly, it would make the grocery stores better because they'd be like, hey, where are all the customers? Where are they going? What are they doing with this money? Believe me, these companies have all different types of people they pay to analyze the marketplace and to figure out how to get the customers to come to the store. Now, a lot of times they use dirty tactics. They use intimidation and threats through like the Department of Agriculture of Pennsylvania and all the other states and the federal USDA. But sometimes, they'll just actually make changes. They might do like an honest thing and actually just try to offer a better product that people have left their store to find somewhere else. They'll bring it to their store. And that's just kind of, how you can make a difference. You can vote with your dollar and you can choose to support someone who's actually doing it the right way, but you have to educate yourself. You have to understand why you need to do it and why it's important. And that's what I'm going to try to do with these videos, so that you will, go out of your way, like that family that came to visit me yesterday that drove, over an hour to come get einkorn from us. And here's the thing, guys, it's not just about changing the world around you, it's about changing yourself. And, that can be done when you start consuming things, putting things in your body that have come from people who really tried with their very best intentions to do things in the most moral and respectful way to the animals and to the soil and to the environment. And, we've seen that on our farm, so much more wildlife than when we first came. We actually started having turkeys come here this year, and it's really awesome. But you'll see the change in yourself. It's more than just, we want to be taught at schools that it's just, calories in and calories out. Like that's how you maintain weight. And, there's something to that for sure, the laws of thermodynamics, but it's more than that. It's how your body reacts to these foods. You could put up two things that are 100 grams and, this wheat is, the same calories as that wheat, but how does it make you feel? How satiated are you after you eat it? What kind of energy does it give you? How does your body react? Do you have, do you start having indigestion or do you feel energy? Like, you will notice the change whenever you go to a truly organic farm and you make a relationship with the farmer and you become more connected with the soil and everything that is going into the food you're consuming. And so, yeah, I just really, that's my overall biggest message from this video is that, you can be the change. You can be the change that inspires others. And not only will you inspire others, but you help yourself. And honestly, I'm going to make videos in the future. I've already made one about the price because people, a lot of times they look at the price and they're comparing it like in a commodity way. But then these same people go out and they have fast food and they're actually paying more money when they buy fast food than they are to just go buy, the very highest quality pastured meat and organic food from the farmer. So, all right, guys, this is the longest video I've made is about 34 minutes, but I think the information is very important. And if you like this video, please share it. And subscribe because I'm going to continue to make more videos talking about things like this. And I'm going to cover a wide variety of topics. I'm not just going to stay within only farming because, I've really spent a lot of time in my life just reading, listening, absorbing information, and it's always evolving. I don't have all the answers. I never claim to have all the answers to anything. The more you learn what you don't know. And that's the amazing thing about life. But, I think that in general, I'm going in the right direction and that the farm's going in the right direction, and we'll share with you the lessons learned and always try to get better. So yeah, if you watched this long, I really appreciate you watching and listening, especially considering the channel just started. And I hope that you'll can continue to watch and listen, and please comment. And if you have something interesting to point out or contribute, then please comment. You can message me privately if you would like, especially considering we have very few subscribers at this point. I'll have time, some time to answer people. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you soon.